Hello, 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 and welcome to this week's Marketing, Branding, and Getting the Sale. Yes, Stephen, get back in front of the computer.
Sorry.
What you unawares there, didn't I? So today we are talking about brand photography, and we got two amazing guests, some very talented women who are with us today. So before we dive into brand photography, let's just do some quick introductions. And I also just want to check that we can hear Emma as well. We were having some tech issues earlier on. Emma, do you want to just quickly say hello so I can see if I can hear you? Nope, I'm not hearing you. I'm not sure she's hearing me this time either. Okay, let's crack on with some other introductions. My name is Una Doyle. I'm a business strategist and coach, and I can help any established business to be able to add at least an extra 50k in only 50 minutes. And if you want to know how I do that, I have a video that I can send you. Comment below or send me a DM, and I'd be happy to share that. So Jess, over to you.
Morning, everybody. Your brand has the power to tell you exactly what marketing will work for your business to bring in more profit, exactly how to communicate it and exactly who to communicate it to. That's the sort of work that we can do together during a 6-step brand loyalty process. If you want to know more about how that'll work, you want to know more about the first step, we can have a chat about that together. Drop me a message or comment below and I'll send you some more details.
Great, so thank you, Jess. Over to you, Stephen.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Stephen Lerman from Chameleon BDS, Outsourced Business Development Service. So if you're looking to get in front of people, make appointments, and grow your business, but don't want to, or just don't have the resource to do so internally, then please give me a call, drop me a message. More than happy to have a chat, see if I can help you grow your business.
Lovely, thank you very much, Stephen. Emma, let's just try you again. I can see you now. So let's
hello,
see if
can you hear me, guys?
Hi. If you could please let us know a little bit about you, Emma.
Well, hi, I'm Emma Holt. I'm a brand photography expert. I've got 11 years worth of experience in the photography field. I've also got a first-class honours degree in photography, and I work with female entrepreneurs and small business owners. I help to elevate their business by creating a bank of stunning imagery. I love to find out more about the businesses, what their core values are, and the services. And I love my job. I think it's amazing.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to the show. Thanks, Emma. Karen, please let us know a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Karen. My business is called With Passion and Purpose. I am a photographer, and like Emma, I work pretty much predominantly with female entrepreneurs. And I also have a community called Photo Club that is for female founders and women who work. My background before photography is in marketing and advertising. So I like to think I can bring a lot of that to my photography and help people not only get great images, but know how to use them. And my passion is helping women to be more seen.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, both of you. Interesting how you both predominantly focus on female entrepreneurs. I'm curious why that's the case.
I think for me, it's just literally. I think the vast majority of the clients that I've had in the past have all been women, and I just seem to be able to have that rapport with them. And I just love working with women.
Okay, simple enough. What about you, Karen?
Very, very similar. My career started off working with a lot of female networking groups, so the word of mouth spread through that fairly quickly. But also, I'm a massive feminist, so that kind of it helps. Possibly alienate some of the guys, I don't know, but I'm not for changing. So.
Okay, well, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what Stephen thinks of what you have to share here today. So wonderful. I thought a great way to kick off is just really to talk about, well, why is having good brand photography so important in the first place? So Karen, what would be one reason why you think it's so important?
There are lots of reasons, but for me, the key one is, it sounds so cliche, but people buy people. And I think if you can see a picture of the person that you're considering working with or for or buying from, it just helps build connection on a whole other level. So a lot of my photography is very focused on authenticity and bringing the real person to those photos so that people can connect to that. So that's kind of the big thing for me, really.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. What about you, Emma? Oh, I'm not sure if Emma's screen is frozen there. Let's come to you, Jess. What do you think? Oh, can you hear us, Emma? Yeah, we got you. It looks like you're unfrozen now. So, Emma, what's one reason why you think brand photography is so important? So the question was, what's one reason why you think brand photography is important?
Right. Well, you need to have a feel and look.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but you're going in and out, Emma. Can the others hear you, or has she stopped as well?
No, it's a shame. She keeps delaying and freezing.
Yeah. I think actually I'm seeing that your network connection is not working great, Emma. I don't know if you can hear us, but it might be worth you coming back in on a mobile device. If your internet connection isn't working great, just check the messages below, because I think your connection keeps coming in and out. Okay, she's gone. Her connection is gone. Okay, well, hopefully we'll be able to get Emma back again. Jess, what's your thoughts? I mean, you're a brand consultant, so what's your thought on brand photography?
I think what Karen was saying, that connection, it's important, not only to understand the person behind the brand, and especially if you're a service-based business like me, my photography would be a lot about me because it's me. You know, I consult you. I'm there. I'm the one that you have your experience with. But even if you know, even even if you've got products, or even if you know, you still got a service base, it's important to show the experience of the consumer as well through your photography. So, you know, using it in that light as well to use that same connection that Karen was just talking about, but showing the emotional benefits, the emotional gains. You know, we've spoken about this in the lives before, where instead of leading with these logical, functional reasons to buy, lead with emotion. And what better way to prove that and show the emotion through seeing it in someone's face. So yeah, thinking about it from the consumer point of view as well as, you know, promoting yourself, I think that's important too.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Stephen, what's your thoughts on brand photography?
I think it's super important. I think Karen, you know, nailed it. A picture tells 1,000 words. You know, if you can get an instant connection by having the right photograph, you know, less is more. You know, I'm a visual person. I look at something, and I know you should never judge a book by its cover or anything like that, but you can get an instant feel by looking at a photograph if you're going to engage in any way. If you're just using a stock photograph, you can tell there's a clear lack of emotion in a stock photograph. So those are my
I think
thoughts.
a lot of the time in stock photographs, the photographers clearly use models and not actors.
Yeah.
There's no kind of, they just don't look real. So many of them, do they? So yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a really good point, because when you know, even my client-based businesses probably go, okay, I need some photography. You would think, okay, I need a model, you know, but to think it that little bit different as well, I need actors to act out the scene, and then we take the photographs. I just think that's a really kind of, it's one of them things where you just automatically think something without kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I just make a quick point? If you're using a person that's connected to the business, they have a vested interest, don't they, in making it work? I remember many years ago, I worked in telecommunications, and we'd hired a model to do the new brochure. And I'm no model by any stretch of the imagination, but because I work for the company, I kind of knew how to stand, you know, how to engage, even though it wasn't a video, it was just a picture, you know, how to, you know. So this girl didn't get it. And at the end, it was only my hand that you saw. It was like an upshot. So you just saw me shaking hands with somebody. It was something so simple, but they just didn't stand right or didn't have the right feel, or, you know. So I totally get it. You do need to have a person that's got a vested interest to be in that photograph if you're using people.
Absolutely.
I think
I just want to say hey to Jason and hey to Chris, who are watching right now. And by the way, if you're watching now, put a hashtag live in the comments. If you come back and watch, if you're watching later, put a hashtag replay. You know, feel free to add any comments or questions later as well. You know, we'd be happy to respond to those. Okay, let's just talk about, I'd love to share kind of, you know, what are some of the mistakes that people make with brand photography. So Emma, I can see your signal looks good right now, so I'm going to come to you first. So what would you say is that, like, what's one typical mistake people make with?
Just repeat.
So what would you say is one typical mistake?
I'd say is always selfies of yourself and not actually.
Emma,
gone again, Una.
Yeah, Emma. Sorry, your signal keeps going in and out, I'm afraid. So we're not catching.
It's not working, Una.
I'll make a suggestion. If you get up the live and comment, I can share your comments on the screen. So if you want to do that on my post, I'll just pop that in our little chat that we have here. So if you open that up, just make sure to mute the site, and we'll do that. So interesting. Chris is just saying that they've just had Employer Branding Week, and that photographic insight is good too, as well as for customers to see. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would agree. Karen, let's come to you. What's one mistake that you see people making when they're doing their brand photography?
I think trying to be somebody else. You know, they look what a competitor is doing, or they, you know, look on, say, Pinterest or something, and get ideas from that, instead of going from what they want to share in the pictures, how they want to look, what aspects of themselves they want to bring. I think, you know, good branding photographers will kind of work with the client well ahead of the shoot, and plan it out and really get to know that client and kind of stop that from happening. But yeah, I think sometimes it's really easy to see the pictures. It's like the stock photography that we were talking about. It's really easy to see when somebody's not quite being themselves and they're just doing what they think they should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think trying to copy others in any aspect of your marketing is a mistake. But yes, I think that visual part of somebody being incongruent with who they really are, yes, I can totally see that would be a problem. So Emma, if you want to share what one of your mistakes in the comments as well. Oh no, she just messaged me. The internet is just not working well. So unfortunately, we'll try and get Emma back another time when her internet is doing well. So apologies about that.
Una,
Sure.
Just to add on from that last point, really, I think particularly smaller businesses, and when I'm talking about smaller business, they could still have, you know, a couple of hundred of staff, but when it's spearheaded by, you know, the main person, there's so much you can get in the photos from using that person. You know, their passion for the business, why they set the business up, kind of goes back to what Stephen was saying about the shoot that he was on a few years ago, because the big advantage that smaller businesses have got over the big corporates is they have a personality. Do you know what I mean? They can bring that to their photos. So it's a real mine of useful information that can be used to bring that client to life in photos.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. So what would be, so one mistake is trying to copy others. So another mistake then would be not using the key people in the business. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Chris is just saying people buy from people. Personality is what draws you to someone or something. and people are naturally curious. Yeah, as an interesting aspect, Chris, isn't it? People are curious, and I think they do like to see the people behind a business. I know for me, now I'm an extrovert, so I am a people person. But if I'm researching, if I want to buy something, if I want to engage with some companies, and I look on the website and I go to the about section, and I don't see any details of people, let alone pictures of people there, to me that's a real turnoff. You know, I want to know who are the people behind the business, because it's all very well saying whatever they say on their homepage and their product or services pages, but I want to know who's behind the business, because to me that helps to build trust. And I actually have definitely, I remember years ago, I wanted to work with a particular type of health coach. I was having some issues, and I had three tabs open with different providers who were qualified in this particular approach. And it was the photos that actually decided me. And it wasn't necessarily that it was actually a better photo. It was the energy of the person that I felt that I resonated more with.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes a difference. People buy people.
I agree, Nuna. I mean, for me, I'm on the phone all day, and I look at every website for every person I'm trying to connect with, because I know, I mean, it's weird. I will tailor my demeanor, even though they can't see me on the telephone, by how they look when I look at their pictures. And I get really frustrated when people don't put pictures of themselves on the website, you know, in the about section, or meet the team. It's so important, because that's the first thing that you're going to look at. That's the first thing you see. And you can tell, like, you know, you're all smiley people. So I know I'm going to be relaxed, and I'm going to put a smile on my face, and I'm going to, you know, just be a bit more at ease when I talk to people. But if people look officious, or there's no picture at all, you don't know how to act, do you?
Right. Well, you're not getting the sense of the culture necessarily, unless they have a very strong copywriting style that's coming across. You're not getting that feel of the company. So yeah, absolutely. Great. Any other mistakes that we need to be aware of, Karen?
I think putting what I see is people putting a lot of pressure on that one shoot. You know, the first time they have a branding shoot, for instance. And I think the key thing is to try and because it's like anything, if you try and get too much from that one thing, and you don't try and focus in on something, you know, whether that's, you know, kind of just getting photos of you and your products that you sell, or if you're trying to do too much, I think that can be where things go wrong. But again, like Emma that was on the call, and myself, you know, a good branding photographer will give you all of these steers and take you away from the bad stuff, hopefully. Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the other things as well is thinking of brand photography as just being headshots. Because I know for me, like, you know, I've been looking for people that I can refer to my clients, and I put a post out. I had loads of people recommended, and there were some great photographers on there, don't get me wrong, but it was clear to me that a lot of them didn't understand what I meant by brand photography. You know, I wanted people who would not just take headshots, but who actually were going to produce content photographs that could be used on websites, that could be used in social media and other places. And so yeah, that I think that for me was another thing of actually, you know, what is your understanding of brand photography? Are you equating brand photography with your LinkedIn profile picture or just that one picture you have on your website? I think there's a lot more to it as well, you know. Well, that's interesting. Chris just said there's a company I interviewed with that was all about HR and people, but the main image was of the sign in the reception of the building they're in, not even their own office. None of the images included people. That's a complete, I think it's like congruence then, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, I think Stephen said before, he's a visual person, so am I. And sometimes we, you know, I turned off if I see loads of copy on a website. I'm kind of a bit like, I want to be able to make a more instant decision. So a photo or an image is going to engage me far quicker than a lengthy about story. It might then draw me in and I'll read the copy, but yeah,
Right.
it's appealing to that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, absolutely. So what are some tips then in terms of like how to get great brand photography, Karen? What should people be looking out for?
I think probably number one, and it's the most tricky one, is finding a photographer that you gel with. Because having your photos taken for a lot of people is way outside your comfort zone. You know, it's not something on a basis. So having somebody that you can start to relax with and who you feel is going to really get your business, I think is key number one. That's where it can kind of all go wrong or all go brilliantly well. And I think that it's about recommendations, like you were just saying, Una, and the LinkedIn posts. It's, you know, if there's a particular photos that you've seen on somebody's websites, finding out who the photographer was and if they'd recommend them. But I think word of mouth goes a long way in choosing your photographer. And then in a similar vein, once you've found the person you're going to work with, I think it's how it's diving into that story together and both being invested in what comes from that shoot. So exactly what you said, Una, it's yes, headshots are going to play a part because we do need those for LinkedIn and for keynote speaking and things like that. But we want to tell a story, you know, we want to show maybe what the course of your day is like. A lot of my shoots involve sometimes it's a friend or a client, but having somebody else in the shoot with that person so they can get shots of them interacting. Even, and this isn't right for every business, admittedly, but even, you know, revealing a little bit of the you outside of work, which can lead to that connection that we've already talked about, you know, whether it's you're an outdoor person or, you know, passionate about something. So I think it's getting the right photographer that you, and I'm almost tempted to say, don't be led by the photos, because a good photographer can get decent images. But what's more important is feeling comfortable with them and the fact that they're going to tell that narrative and really bring that to life. And there should be a lot of time invested before the camera gets picked up by all parties. Yes, does that answer the question?
Yeah, but you brought up another question for me, which is, so you're saying don't be led by the photos. So why would that be? Because, like, you know, you would think that that's what people would do, is go and look at the photographs and see, oh, does this person look like they know what they're doing? Like, is that because they might have a particular style and that style might not be right for you, or something else?
I think you can't negate it completely. I probably should have worded that a little bit better. You know, you want to see, you know, proof in the pudding type thing. You want to be able to look and know that they can take a photograph, and maybe kind of the types of clients that they work with will kind of lead you a little bit as well. But ultimately, you can be an amazing photographer, but if they're not invested in helping you bring your brand to life, it doesn't matter how good a photographer they are. Yeah,
got you. Stephen, Jess, any questions or thoughts at this point?
My thoughts are stacking up, so do you mind if I go first, Stephen? I love that point of, you know, not just looking at the photographs, because like you said, you know, any great photographer can take great photographs, but you've got to gel with that person. You've got to feel comfortable with that person and not rush it. And that person also has to help you prep for it as well. So, you know, that was something that I wanted to bring up, where in the past I've jumped to do some photography and then not used any of the photos because I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have, you know, a meaning behind what I was doing. We just took some great photos and then, you know, I was like, oh, I don't know how they're going to fit. And then I was trying to do my content and, you know, and so in the end, it kind of didn't match. So having that, that strategy, we talk about, planning and having strategy all the time, don't we? And don't treat your photography any different. Have that strategy, what you're going to use it for. And like you said, Karen, having that person that can help sit down with you and help story tell everything that you want to piece together, even if it is a bit of a storyboard of, okay, well, you want to get this message across, we'll do something like that. And, rather than just saying, okay, what do you want? You want to stand in a field? Okay, let's go and do that. It's having that purpose and that strategy. So I think that is really key. And something else about with you were saying, the personal side of you as well, not just you just sat at your desk all the time, or you just sat in a cafe on your laptop all the time, like showing your personality too. Because we've spoken about LinkedIn content before, haven't we, with Pam and Jill, and spoken about how important it is to have them personal posts as well, and have that personal content to build conversation and get people to, connect with you. And this photography can then, go really well with that as well, so we can tie it all together. So yeah, with your LinkedIn posts, social media posts, you can use this photography in that, not just your website as well. So yeah, they were the things that were spinning around in my head as you were speaking.
I think, a photographer, the relationship between a photographer and their client is quite an intimate relationship. And if you don't gel, then it's just not going to work. It's like when I talk to potential clients about who they're looking for. So one of them is an accountant. Accountant is somebody that's is an integral part of somebody's life. They know the ins and outs of their business. They know everything. And a photographer is kind of on the same level but on the other side of the business, because they've got like a window into your soul. As a photographer, they see everything, warts and all. So if you don't have that, if there's no chemistry, then it's just not going to work. No matter how good a photographer they are, it's just not going to work. So I think it's super important that you have that instant connection. So it's more about seeing past the photographs. Like, was it Karen, you said at the very beginning? Absolutely, I agree. And I know nothing about photography.
Great.
I think
Karen, beg your pardon, go on.
No, go on, Una.
I was going to ask you for another tip, but if you want to respond to what Jess and Stephen have said, please do.
I think it's just what Stephen said, particularly then about you have to have so much trust in your photographer, because it's, they're bringing your story to life for you. And even down to, I think somebody in the comments has mentioned about editing and things afterwards. It's even that conversation, understanding kind of the tone of the editing that you want to bring out. So it's I just can't get across how key that relationship is, and how easily, if you don't gel with that right photographer. And most photographers, like so many other businesses, they'll be more than prepared to get on a 10-minute call with you, for free, and just have a chat about what you're looking for. And you can learn a lot from doing that.
Absolutely. I always think with any service provider, you can learn a lot from the questions they ask you. If they're not asking you questions that make you go, oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's what I would be looking for. Absolutely. Great. Brilliant. So what would be another tip, Karen, to make sure that you maximize your brand photography?
I think Jess mentioned, and I know a vast majority of branding photographers will do this, but it's kind of mood boarding, boarding things out first. So again, most photographers in this kind of arena will have a conversation with you first, really dig into your brand and what you're about and what you want to use these photos for, because that's kind of key as well.
Yeah.
But like every client I work with, I'll pull together a board of images following their conversation that I think help tell their story. And we're not replicating every image. We're just looking to kind of do our version of that at their shoot.
Yeah.
And that alongside a shoot list as well, which again, the photographer should be doing this. This isn't kind of onus on him, but a shoot list of the shots you have to nail on that shoot. And this goes back to, you know, how you're going to use the images. A lot of the clients I work with, they're having a brand new website built and the photos are going to feature on there. So it's about capturing images that have got maybe negative space to one side, that work on website banners, and they can put text over the top, that sort of thing. So all of that feeds in. So that would go on the shoot list. Oh, you know, at least a few versions of you to one side, you know, nice background, but some nice space that lettering, wording can go. So it's preparation again, but a good kind of storyboard and a shoot list. Essentials. Really wouldn't do a shoot without those things.
Absolutely. No, that sounds really good. So just pop that in the comments there as well, with misspelling, so excuse that.
Tory board.
Hey, we're live. I'm trying to type and do everything else as well. So let's have a look. Sean Murray, welcome Sean, is saying, yeah, it's important, you want that connection. And also photographers that can think outside of the box, so add a bit of uniqueness to all the images that they create. What they were saying there was to create for the images they create for you. Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, when I've done, you know, photography before, I think having somebody who really thinks about this stuff beforehand makes such a difference. And I think a lot of the time it's been me who's been trying to think of those things. And so, you know, having photos that you go, oh, that expression's perfect, but the photo isn't lined up. There isn't enough of that negative space to be able to put some text there, or, you know, it's really frustrating when you have things like that. So absolutely, having that preparation is important. And I think as well, you know, this is one of the reasons why, you know, for me, that's one of the key distinctions between, or one of the key distinctions between someone who's just going to photograph headshots and a brand photographer, is actually all the time and strategy that goes into the preparation. And I think, folks, you got to be prepared to pay a bit extra for that. You know,
yeah. And I think it's just,
there's more expertise there and planning and everything.
Yeah, it's the images at the end, although they're for the client, that's obviously what they're going to use. It's kind of one of the smallest bits of the actual process, because the planning and the preparation that goes into it, absolutely, like Sean said, that thinking outside the box, because, you know, branding photography isn't all, you know, person on a laptop, headshot, holding a coffee mug. There's, you know, there's typical shots that go in, but the absolute key is when you can really open that up and capture something different.
Yeah.
But the photos at the end are, they're actually quite a small part of the process. But they're what you're left with for possibly years.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you want them to be right.
Yeah, Sean's agreeing. He says that you get what you pay for. So a lot of the time that's true, though, of course, as I'm always saying, there's a big issue with a lot of creative services undercharging and over delivering. So you might hit lucky, but hopefully the tips you're getting today will help you to identify, not just from the price, but what you ought to be looking for as well. So I've got a question actually. So I'm somebody who, like, my working day is sat right here, being on the phone, on camera, and I'm just like, these aren't very interesting shots. So what do you do if you're a service provider that you mainly work online, and what do you do to create shots that are going to showcase what you do? Like, does it matter, should I just have other people in the shots and kind of do what I would be doing online, but do it in person, or look like I'm doing it in person, or like, how do you handle situations like that?
I think I wouldn't kind of portray an aspect that isn't true to your business. So I wouldn't just have photos if working face to face it isn't part of your business. I wouldn't have people in them.
Apart from teamwork, which I do, which they would tend to be face to face. But typically the coaching I do is all online.
Yeah, and I think you can, there's a few ways of varying things so that you really start to bring some variety to those shots. So outfit changes, locations, different things like that, different angles and things. A lot of the clients I work with, because they do online work, we'll photograph over their shoulders and things like that. We'll have them actually interacting with somebody on the screen so that we can really capture some truthfulness. But I guess it's a little bit, I think Jess mentioned as well, it's looking what else feeds into what you do. So maybe it is bringing a little bit of your outside life into the picture, whether that's you enjoy being outdoors or reading or, those sorts of things. We'd look to explore what else we can bring in. But for me, ultimately, it's about being authentic. So we wouldn't want you doing anything that wouldn't be true.
Yeah, apologies for laughing. I wasn't laughing at what you said. Chris just said you can use all the images of you at events. # trademark hair. I do always stand out in the event photos. Unfortunately, I haven't really found very many where I'm happy with the expression, because I seem to kind of, if I'm focused and listening, I'm kind of like, and then I don't look like me. So yeah, funny. So beg your pardon, you were saying, Karen?
No, and I've had clients that will, if you regularly speak at events, for instance, we'll kind of reenact that a little bit. And I'm not talking like hiring 50 people to kind of be the audience, but it might be, you on a stage, maybe grabbing a couple of people, so we've got some backs of heads. So there's things like that we can, we can be creative and clever in how we do it. And sometimes it's going really outside the box. So I'm being careful with this because this is some work I'm doing at the moment. But there's a lady that I've worked with. She's a coach. She works predominantly one-to-one, face-to-face, online. But we are recreating the evolution of man, but as a woman, for her photos. So that's way outside the spectrum of what she'd normally do, but she just wants something really, really striking. So, there might be something in your story, Una, that as we delve deep into it, we find some other ideas that could be brought to life.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. So Sean is just adding here again about editing and color grading can make even small changes pop out even more. One of the reasons he loves photography. So fabulous. Thanks for that, Sean. So Jess, Stephen, any other questions or thoughts on what Karen has shared here so far?
No, I just think the tips have been great. For somebody that doesn't know much about photography, I think, when it comes to choosing the right photographer, or it's more than just looking at the photo, and also like you said, you've got to find somebody that you gel with. I think it's really, really important. So some great tips. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
Yes,
I just think that all this planning and all this kind of storyboarding and mood boarding and all this stuff, and then once you find a photographer that you gel with, it just makes it easy for long term, doesn't it? So if you've got an event and you think, oh my god, I've not even thought about photography at this event, Karen, can you come and get to this event? You already know my business, you already know me, you already know the shots that I want. I saw some event photography, just some random photography from a random event I wasn't even at. and the shot that it was, there was like maybe, 30 people in the shot, but everyone was blurred apart from one person right in the distance who was pulling a face that didn't even look like they were enjoying themselves. So that's why we started that's not a good promotion for the event. But again, things like that, when you've got a photographer that you've done all this work with, they'll know, what shots reflect your brand and your purpose and what you want to use and how you're going to use it. So thinking long term with this as well when you're doing this work with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. What would be your final kind of golden nugget, Karen? Either something you've already said that you think needs to be worth repeating, or something that you haven't said yet?
I think it would be enjoy it, because for a lot of people, moving to having brand photography done is a bit of a step up in their business, like putting themselves out there, investing in something like this. But yeah, try and enjoy it, because it's a really quite liberating experience when you find the right photographer, you do all the prep and you get the right photos. It's such a buzz. So yeah, I guess enjoy it.
I think that makes sense. I'm very aware that most people aren't like me, that, you know, point a camera at me and I'm like, hey, you know, I just put me on a stage, you know, put me on video, point a camera at me, and I'm happy as Larry. But so many people are not like that. And I think, you know, the one thing that I would say, you know, if you're watching this, you're listening to this now, and you're thinking, oh God, like I wish I could be like that, but I'm not. Is that, you know, this? I want you to remember that this is actually about your clients more than it is about you. It's about helping your clients to see who you are, and you need to create that bit of intimacy. So I love the way you can break down the word intimacy to into me see, and so you've got to take the barriers down for that. And if you can do that, and you know, if you need to get some help with some mindset work to kind of get over kind of any fears or blocks that you have around that, please do. Because it's, you know, it allows those prospective clients who maybe really need what you have to offer to be able to connect with you or to connect with a member of your team, and you know, think about them rather than yourself, and hopefully that will help you not to be so self-conscious.
Great advice.
Okay. All right. Karen, it's been lovely getting to know you, and shared some great mistakes to avoid and tips to make sure you get the most out of your brand photography. And I think I would add to that, like, you know, for me as a coach, as a business strategist and coach, thinking about brand photography, you know, what I want for me and for my clients is for them to have photography that they can really utilize. It definitely, you know, I know what I'm hearing. Like I had a profile review with Wojciech recently. I'll tag him below. Great profile review. And one of the things that he said was that there wasn't enough photos of me in my content. And interesting, when I went back and spoke to my team member who helps me out with the content, they said, actually, yeah, when we look back at the stats, when we've had photos of you, the views have been like, and engagement has been way higher. So like, you know, I'm trying to do more of that now. So don't be afraid to do that. We need to kind of, you know, we need to put ourselves out there, particularly for service-based businesses. Yeah, you know, just really, like Peter said, think outside the box in terms of the different ways you could use photography. You know, think about, like, are you going to be exhibiting? Do you need photography for stands? Are you planning on having any printed materials, even whether those are just business cards? Please get business cards again, folks. The amount of times I've been to events recently and people are like, oh, I don't have any business cards. Can we just connect on LinkedIn? And yeah, we can, but it's just not the same as having a card in my feeling. It's funny because I'm so tech and paperless in so many other ways, but I do like a good old business card. But yeah, you know, are you planning any brochures? You know, what are you planning to be doing in the next quarter or the next year that, you know, you could be using those photographs for? So, you know, bring all of that to mind as well, really. Wonderful. Final thoughts then from you, Stephen. What's been your kind of most significant bit today?
It's the tips and the mistakes. It's things that I wouldn't have thought about. You know, you've brought it to the forefront, because actually, when I finally get my website together, I'm going to have photos. I think they're important because it enables people to see who they're going to engage with. So yeah, I'm going to find a photographer and get to know them before I engage their services.
Yeah,
thank you for
great
that.
stuff. Wonderful. Jess?
Yeah, the planning and preparing. You know, we can't say it enough. Every week we talk about planning and strategy, about different angles of your business, whether it's your brand, your marketing, you know, your mindset, or whatever it is. And yeah, just treating photography the same, having that plan, having that strategy. And if that means coming back to photography and doing some work beforehand, you know, that a good photographer, a good brand photographer will give you that guidance, because without that, they won't be able to do a good job. So yeah, don't underestimate the research and the planning and the prepping, and don't rush to something.
Absolutely. And if you've got clarity on your market domination position, what sets you apart from your competitors, then that's what you want to be bringing through in your photographs as well. Fantastic. Well, you know, thank you as always, Stephen and Jess.
Thank you.
And welcome. You know, thank you for joining us, Karen, and sharing your knowledge. It's been lovely. And very useful. So have you found what you've heard today useful? Well, you know, please comment below. Let us know what's been your biggest aha moment from today's show. If you have any other questions, either from Karen or from myself, Jess, or Stephen, then let us know. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to hear from you. We'll see you same time next week. Bye for now.